I'm sure you guys have been following this Clippers story over the summer. Um, for those who live under a rock, basically what happened is Pablo Torre, who is a very thorough journalist, he did some uncovering of reports because there was this company called Aspiration who filed for bankruptcy. And because they filed for bankruptcy, he was able to look up like all these documents and see that, okay, this team used to be like one of the sponsors of the Clippers. And he found some weird things like they had a $50 million investment from the Clippers. And then, one of the partners of Aspiration that got paid was a company that was an LLC called KL2. So Kawhi Leonard and where's number two? Like they didn't even try to hide that. And then they claimed like the Clippers were like, well, he's we introduced them and they have a an agreement where he does like marketing for them. But they found zero evidence of Kawhi doing any type of marketing. No commercials, no tweets, no nothing. I highly recommend you go watch Pablo Torre's podcast on this if you have the time. It's pretty fascinating stuff.
I have.
Um,
Yeah, it's super.
because they had multiple investors on this thing. There was like Robert Downey Jr., who was in a commercial. They had some real heavy hitters. I think Drake was like also an investor. But Kawhi, he was like a no-show job that he got paid for. And so the circumstantial evidence here, the connecting the dots is like the Clippers paid this company, the company paid Kawhi, and this is cap circumvention, right? This is like against the rules.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there hasn't been any punishment given out yet. It's probably going to take a while. The NBA said they're going to conduct an investigation. My initial reaction was like, guilty. They definitely did this. I do have a lot of like outside takes on this though. So Ray, I'll let you go first on like what your reaction was when you heard this and just your reaction to the whole situation.
I think so I think they did it. And I would also say there's probably other teams in the NBA also doing it.
Yeah.
And so my question is really, what is the dynamic between the owners? Because I'm sure there are some owners who are like, how could you do this?
Yeah.
How could you circumvent the cap? That's illegal. And then I think there are some owners, like it would not surprise me, for example, if Matt Ishbia was also paying people on the table somehow, some way, right? There are so many different ways you can integrate an NBA player who already has a lot of money into investment opportunities, into off the court stuff, into whatever it might be. It wouldn't surprise me if the Cronkies were like, oh, we're redeveloping the entirety of like the Ball Arena district, right? And if they got Jokic in on that to some degree, I'm not saying that they did that, but I'm saying I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah. So for me, the question is really, how mad are the other owners, and what are they going to do about it? That's it for me.
Yeah, no, for me it's like, yeah, no, absolutely they did it. The Lakers used to do it back in the day. Why do you think they were called the Showtime? Come on.
Breaking news here?
Yeah.
I mean, okay.
Come on.
LeBron did what he did in Space Jam or whatever.
LeBron. How the hell did they get Shaq to literally when Shaq was about to sign an extension with Orlando, and Shaq somehow was literally, did you know how it was shady, and Shaq literally ended up requesting a trade last minute and not signing his extension with Orlando, and then gets traded to the Lakers. Yeah, that's one of the. Or how the hell did they get James Worthy when they had Magic and freaking them? They literally had Magic and what's his name? Why am I forgetting his name? The center.
Kareem.
Kareem, literally on the team, and they just literally won the finals, and they got James Worthy. How the hell do you get James Worthy, second overall pick, when you have Kareem and Magic and you just won the NBA finals? What the hell? So it's just like the Lakers did a lot of shady things, but you know what? The Lakers and the Celtics did save the NBA back then. So, but for me, it's like you said, how mad are the owners? but for me, it's just like, do you have concrete evidence, right? It's like concrete evidence where you can like point to this is
Yeah.
Bomber and the Clipper ownership legit and literally put money into it where you can point to, and it's inconclusive. Like
Right. Yeah.
right,
Well,
right
the
there.
second pod was revealing again because it showed that the Clippers minority owner, which is like the guy's like best friends with Ballmer, went to college with him,
I saw that. Yep,
put money into that company
company he did. Yep,
when the company was going under.
yep.
And Amina Hassan, who was a guest on the pod, was basically like, this is like the reverse of insider trading, right?
Yeah,
So for just real quick, for everybody who's not familiar with the stocks, insider trading is basically like if you know somebody within a company and they're like, hey man, we're not doing so well, we're about to tank, you should probably want to pull your stock out. You pull your stock out to save money. If they do an investigation, they catch you, that's illegal. Because
yeah.
it's like you knew, you had inside information. This was the opposite. They knew they were tanking, but because they had a deal with Kawhi to get paid, they didn't want them to suffer. So they're like, let's pump more money into this
Money.
to keep afloat. That's the theory, right? Just connecting the dots.
Yep.
Now, we don't, again, there has not been the straight line proven of like the Clippers paid them so they would pay Kawhi, but it all looks very suspicious, right? It looks very fishy.
I mean, and when you do something like that, at the end of the day, it's just like you don't want anything to be a paper trail, right? So that's
Right.
probably where they were only smart. There was not any paper trail because you can trace anything that's written down, right? It's on record. But anything that can be spoken, right? Unless it's recorded, it's win, right?
Plausible deniability.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And
type
so
of thing.
that's probably it was just behind closed doors, something they talked about that was not written down on records. So
But
unless
also,
proven, like you said, Pete, other owners probably have done it, but how mad will they be? And if you can't find inconclusive evidence to prove that Bomber and the whole ownership were in on this, then that's the only way you can legitimately, punish them
well,
for.
I don't know. I don't know
Right?
if you need that though, because it's not a legal case, right? And
Right.
so
It
And
is,
the CBA goes over that. Like you
but
just need circumstantial evidence.
yeah, but this is bringing in into the question the integrity of the league, right? And
Yeah.
play. So yeah, that's
but if they're in a room, right, and 2/3 of them are like, I'm pretty sure you did this.
yeah.
I feel like that's enough. Well, they'll be like, okay, we got it. I don't know what they'll do, right? They might not do as much as
Right.
we'd expect,
Well,
but I feel like they
Ray,
could
we
do
get to
something.
wait to see what the investigation finds out. Because I think another thing Pablo said was like this law firm they hired, Wachtell Lipton or whatever. He's like, they got a lot more resources than I got. So I fully believe this will be a thorough investigation
Mhm.
because the NBA is a multi-billion-dollar industry, and even though Ballmer's
Is
important as
for $4 billion
yeah,
annual revenue every year.
yeah. So even though Ballmer had like a good reputation going in with the owners, like that's a big difference here between this and like the Sterling stuff, right? It's like the owners all wanted to get rid of Sterling. They all seem to kind of like Ballmer, but I think what Windhorse reported was like one thing the owners were all upset about is like, hey, Kawhi took slightly less money on his last extension. If he would have gotten the full boat, that would have been like more luxury tax money distributed to everybody else. So it's like it actually did cost them money if this is cap circumvention. So
Mhm.
I guess my sort of one of my big takeaways from all this is a take that I've had like well before this story came out just about sports in general, which is it's kind of a bummer, but I just want people to remember like we're all here talking about sports because we're friends and like we enjoy this stuff. But sports is like, especially at the professional level and the college level, and even sometimes, unfortunately, the high school level, it's not fair. Like we as kids are kind of taught in PE class that like here's the rules of the game. It's going to be 5-on-5, and here's the refs, they're unbiased, and it's supposed to be fair. And the truth is like it's a big business and they try to sell it to us as fair, but you know Side note, they just did I just listened to the last Hoop Collective with Windhorse and Bontemps, and every summer Tim Bontemps does the survey of like, you know, where do all the 30 teams rank in terms of like players, assets, market, ownership, all this stuff, right? So it's clear that some teams have advantages
Yep.
because of like where they're located or how rich their owner is.
Yep.
So you can't sit there and tell me that it's like always going to be fair. And this is not to make an excuse for the Clippers. This is just sort of pointing out like they have to do something here because the whole idea behind sports is that it is supposed to be fair,
Fair. Yep.
right? Why would you watch something if you only, you know, if you know it's rigged or if you know, you know, and yes, there are some people that love professional wrestling. I'm not trying to take a shot at those people.
Yeah.
I'm trying to say that's not why we like the NBA. We like sports because we think that like we love watching Jokic and we want to see him do great things and hopefully win more championships and improve his legacy. And that's all cool and fine. But when you hear about a story like this, you see that like, oh, people are trying to cheat, you know. The Astros a few years ago, they had a scandal where they were like
Yep.
actually cheating in the games. And so I do think that you have to penalize a team severely if it's found that you did cheat.
And
You know
now,
what's funny to me?
how would how would the Clippers get punished when they don't have any picks? Would
They
you
have some picks.
void Kawhi contract?
I would love it. I think they'd be hilarious.
He said,
So what does that mean, though? Does he
Yeah.
get to sign a new contract?
It means they would still have to pay him on the books. They wouldn't just get the salary slot, but he wouldn't get to play for them.
Hmm.
I was gonna say it's funny to me that they did all this to not
Win.
win any championships.
Right. Yeah, they already kind of sort of are having a
Yeah, I'm like, that's what
flop.
I'm kind of
Always
like.
Clips.
Okay.
Clips in the Clips. They did all that and they couldn't even win one championship.
The Pacers have
saying.
won more playoff series since Kawhi signed with the Clippers than the Clippers have.
That's
And
it.
they've been winning like every offseason. I feel like every offseason they're like, oh, look at how much the Clippers did. Steve Ballmer always willing to spend that money. What a good owner. They got a new arena and they got all these players and they got 13 guys and all this stuff.
Steve
I'm like,
Ballmer
oh,
is the
shit.
he's the richest. Well, the new Laker ownership is the richest. Their ownership group is the richest. But Steve Ballmer, literally, currently is the richest owner in the NBA.
Yeah.
The guy is like worth $150 billion, bro. Like,
And
damn.
no championships.
Yeah. It's definitely going to be interesting to see what happens. I also think it's interesting because does this like sour the water, right? Does this put a cloud over their season? Because on paper, the Clippers are like one of the deepest teams in the West. Now,
They got
I don't view them as a threat
do.
mostly because I don't believe in their main two guys, Kawhi and Harden. Plus, they're both another year older. But, you know, they're going to win like 45 games this year, minimum, assuming it doesn't go completely down the drain. But yeah, I'm just fascinated to watch it. You know, is Kawhi going to say anything at media day? Like, I'm sure he'll deny it, but it's like, it's still going to be kind of awkward. I'm sure there's going to be some players that have at least some kind of interesting quote. It'd be weird to me if everybody's just like no comment. I don't know.
I mean, unless they brought him in, and Steve Ballmer gave him, a heads up. Probably like, hey, don't say anything.
Here's his envelope. Shut up.
I'm focused on basketball. That's probably what they're all going to say, right? Like, I'm ready to start the
what
season.
else?
Behind me.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah.
At some level, deep down, you would have to think that they probably just want it to be over with, right? Like, like resolve this and find our punishment. Because that's one thing I haven't heard talked about yet. Is like, okay, so if you're the Clippers, if you know you did this, just hypothetically, wouldn't you try to just move your picks now before they get taken away? Like, I wonder if the NBA has like frozen the picks they have left to be like, no, we're gonna wait for this investigation.
They could,
but Pete, it would look more suspicious though. It's just like if I done something,
you think they're stuck.
you're stuck because it would be more suspicious if you go ahead and move those picks.
I like this angle.
And the league could avoid those trades, right?
Because now they make a trade tomorrow and they get some good players back, but they traded the picks away. What the hell is the league's going to punish them for now? What take away? So and to all of us, it would look more suspicious. You'd be like, oh hell no, they definitely did it. That's why they moved the picks, because that's the only way the league could punish them, right?
That's
it's
true.
fine and take away the picks. That's the only way, or void Kawhi contract. Those are the three avenues that could be taken, or suspend Bomber for I don't know how long could they suspend him and fine him, right? Those are the only avenue available to the league.
Yep, it's going to be fascinating to see what happens.
What's up, guys?
So
Editing Bay
move
Ray
to,
here. I just wanted to pop in and give an addendum to the conversation that we had. This was recorded last Sunday. That was the 28th, I believe. And since then, we've had Media Day. Kawhi has made statements about the allegations, and I wanted to, first things first, translate some of those, communicate those to you as accurately as I can, so I'm not putting words in his mouth before we have any kind of conversation and before I give any kind of commentary about what is being said, what's not being said, how weird it is, how weird it might be. So, for starters, Tamer Azerly, a reporter, is asking Kawhi about the allegations and the investigation in regards to how he's approaching camp. And Kawhi says, it's easy for me. I don't read headlines or do conspiracy theories or anything like that. It's about the season and what we have ahead of us right now. Tomorrow we'll start camp and see what we got. And he asks more pointedly, any reaction to the allegations? And Kawhi says, no. The NBA is going to do their job. None of us have engaged in any wrongdoing. That's it. We invite the investigations. It's not going to be a distraction for me or the rest of the team. And in a follow-up question, Ramona Shelburne asks him, what is your understanding of the endorsement deal that you had with the company Aspiration? And did you perform any services for them? And he responds, when you say understand, what do you mean? She follows up, of the contract you signed, how much money you were to receive, what you were supposed to perform for those services. And Kawhi says, I understand that full contract and the services that I had to do. Like I said, I don't deal with conspiracies or the clickbait journalism that's going on. She responds, I think the allegation was that you didn't perform any services. Is that accurate? And he says, I don't think that's accurate. It's old. This is all new to you guys. The company went bankrupt a while ago. As we already know, this was going to happen. She says, Ramona, I should say, said that you were named the largest creditor in the bankruptcy filing. Did you actually get the money that was owed to you in the contract? And Kawhi responds, no. The company went belly up. It was defrauded, as everybody knows. If you have any more questions or want more details about the company, you need to ask the owner or whoever else was involved in the fraud that went on. Ramona responds, I think they said they owed you $7 million or something. Is that right? And Kawhi says, I'm not sure. I'd have to look back at the books. It's more than that for sure. She says, do you have any idea how much you actually made on that? And he finishes with, no. It was like 2, 3, 4 years ago. And after that, they kind of move on into other questions. But I wanted to add this just to provide context to the situation and be as journalistically transparent as I can be. Yeah. As far as my, and maybe we'll follow up on this in a group session podcast, maybe we won't, but I gotta say, it's weird. And it was probably going to be weird no matter what the reality was, no matter what the truth is. Any situation like this is going to be weird for the team, whether Kawhi did anything wrong or Steve Ballmer did anything wrong or not. So I want to give them that level of grace, but at the same time, it's a lot of, and we see this a lot in my view, it's a lot of very thoughtfully curated responses to be fair, like I said, an important question that they probably expected, but it doesn't scream to me like they're being fully transparent. Now, that said, how often are athletes fully transparent with what they say, especially to media members, especially to adversarial questions? I'm not going to say they asked it in an adversarial way, but the questions themselves, this is a kind of a conflict that the team is going to have with the league and with fans and with their public image and all those things. So anytime an athlete, I think, is navigating that dynamic, they're going to be a little bit more guarded. They're going to be a little bit more mindful about what they say. And I do have some amount of empathy for him in engaging in that level of just protecting yourself. Because oftentimes for athletes, when you deviate from the proper performative PR kind of response to questions in the media, it doesn't go well for you, whether whatever the situation is. So that's all I wanted to add. This episode, like I said, just to follow up, was recorded, let's see, on Sunday the 28th, and I am uploading it Sunday night on the 5th of October, 2025. Anything that happens in the future, I will try to follow up either individually like this or in a group session. But yeah, just wanted to be as accurate as I can, I should say. And, thank you for listening. We appreciate, I certainly appreciate all the support that you guys give us throughout the year. And yeah, goal this year for me is consistency. I want to have like 3 to 5 uploads a week, even if they're not as large. So hopefully I can continue that. And this week will probably be a few more smaller individual, more me talking like this, actually. I hope you enjoy that. And if you have any feedback, please, I always appreciate anything like that in the comments, or you can find me on Twitter. I'm at Rayvone Hackshaw. You can send hate mail if you want to. I will read it, probably. I'm not big enough not to read it. But, love is also appreciated. And any thoughtful criticism or support, I will take into account as well. So, y'all have a good one. Be safe, drink lots of water, and I will see you next time.